Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be discussing my heart cross matching guide. So this guide is part video, part written, so hopefully I appeal to both types of learning styles, as there will be still images you can look at, as well as this video commentary along with visual matching. So hopefully you find this useful, but in essence I want to basically describe what a heart cross is, how they work, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, why they are strong leaders, as well as giving specific examples of ways to enhance your matching capabilities. So, as a disclaimer, I only use Miru as my only heart cross leader, as I have no other viable leader except for Anaphon, who I have no subs for, so I stick primarily to Miru, so all of my experience with heart crossing has been with her. However, it should be relatively translatable to other teams, so hopefully that doesn't provide too much bias, just putting that out there. And another good thing you can do is you can check out my Twitch channel, in which I stream my Arena 3s on a regular basis with Miru, so you can gain a very strong understanding of my thought process of how I match my orbs for heart crosses. So, first things first, what is a heart cross? So, a heart cross is currently the strongest mechanic in Puzzle & Dragons, as it combines offensive and defensive capabilities. So in essence, when you match that heart cross, which you can see from the below image here, of exactly 5 heart orbs, you will trigger an additional benefit from your card's leader skill. So usually that provides a damage reduction shield and a certain amount of multiplier. It varies from team to team, but the point being is when you form a heart cross, you become somewhat impossible to kill because you have a high damage reduction shield. So for example, Miru provides a 50% damage reduction, so Miru is 75%. So you reduce all damage incoming by 75%. That essentially translates into 4 times health, 4 times recovery for teams with those 75% damage reductions. And that is incredibly powerful because you can survive attacks that would kill most other teams, and you can stall where you're not supposed to stall, along with having great burst damage potential if you're monocolored. So, the following images basically shows what is an acceptable heart cross. So you have to match exactly 5 heart orbs, and when you do, it triggers this special little shield and special sound. So I'm just going to transition into a quick video here. So as you can see from this image, like this board here, I definitely have more than enough orbs, so I'm just going to quickly match a heart cross here. So from that heart cross there, it's going to trigger, and it's going to match, and therefore I'll get the shield and all the benefits of the leader skill. So, oops, I should probably match something so you can see that I'm going to gain 59 times. So those dark monsters are going to deal a lot more damage than they normally would have. So, transitioning back here, you can also put your heart orbs in such a way that they are around the heart cross, provided they don't get matched. So in this example here, I still have my heart cross, but this other heart here does not get affected. It won't be matched, and I still will trigger my heart cross. Conversely, this pattern here also still triggers your heart cross because that orb there and that orb there do not actually get matched. So you still only matched exactly 5. So if I transition back here, I can show you right now that if I put my heart orb there, I'm still going to form my heart cross, even though there is additional orbs kind of around it. As long as the heart orbs are like that, I still trigger my multiplier. So I still get the shield, I still get the multiplier, so this is great. So what is an example of an unacceptable pattern? Well, an unacceptable pattern would be something like this. Basically, if I have 6 heart orbs, or 6 or more heart orbs matched at the same time, it will not trigger my shield because this actually formed a non-heart cross. This is like a lot of players have coined this term as a Jesus cross because it looks like that cross because it's not exactly 5 heart orbs. So I'm just going to be trying to get a board with more than 5 heart orbs here, and then I will showcase it right now. So this board here I have 4. I'm going to hopefully get more. Perfect. I just wasted all my heart orbs. I think Paimon can make, no, Yomi Dragon can make some, definitely. So I'm going to use Yomi Dragon just to get heart orbs here, and then I will show you what an unacceptable heart cross looks like. So if I do something like this, that's unacceptable. That is unacceptable. That's also unacceptable. You get my point. That's unacceptable. That's obviously very unacceptable, but if I were to break it up like that, it would be acceptable. But I'll go here, and form that. So therefore, nothing actually triggered. You saw no shielding animation. So that means I don't actually have my multiplier, and I can be vulnerable to attacks, I don't deal damage, so on and so forth. So you must do your very best to match exactly 5 heart orbs. So, strategies used to form a heart cross. So first things first, you should count your heart orbs. Like, this may sound like common sense, but sometimes common sense is not so common, especially when you're playing a team you're unfamiliar with. Because in this situation here, I have only 3 heart orbs. So yes, I can match hearts, but I will not be able to form a heart cross. So count your heart orbs before, because I still sometimes miscount, and it's important not to miscount, because that can lead to death and disaster. Next up, you want to plan where your heart cross goes. So from this image here, the heart orbs are pretty well placed around this area here. So obviously I want to try and make a heart cross somewhat in this vicinity. So I'm going to start with actually this heart orb here, and I'll be matching basically top to bottom to top and kind of left to right. And that way I will end up in that corner with a heart orb. So let's say if I fail to make a heart cross of those 5, this starting orb here could be the 5th orb required to make a heart cross. So in general, for myself, I like to start with a heart orb and then match all my other combos and then finish with the heart cross. So for this board here, I actually end up with this type of finished pattern where I get like my nice row of yellow, all these red, water, purple, wood, and another fire combo here along with the heart cross. I didn't actually need that other heart there, but I still am going to match with that heart orb I started with. So the point being is, you want to try and plan out where it's going to go, and like you want to try and put them in the sides. You don't want to put the heart cross in the middle, because the heart cross in the middle, you're going to have difficulty either moving orbs around because you have to break up that cross, or it's just going to take up too much space. So the next example here, I start with this orb in the bottom here, and I follow a similar matching pattern. I kind of go from the bottom and then from the right, and then I eventually finish on the left-hand side, as you can see here. So I went from this to this, and I still managed to match enough combos, and I finished with my heart cross in this area here. That way I take up the least amount of space. Because if this heart cross was somewhere else, it's going to be problematic. So I'm just going to transition into here, and I'm going to pop nothing. I'm just going to do, just trying to match some things. Just try and match as much things as possible to get enough for a heart cross. So this board here, I have 2 different areas where I could make my heart cross. I could make the heart cross either in the top right-hand corner or possibly in the bottom area. So I'm just looking, where would I want to make my light row? So I'm going to make my light row at the top. So because I'm making my light row at the top, I'm going to be making my heart cross at the bottom. So I'm going to be starting with there, and see here, I can make my heart cross there. I could match other combos, but I just want to showcase that, like, that's how you can plan out where you want your heart cross to go. So the idea is, like, you want to study your board, plan out where you want to make your offensive combos, and then where's your heart cross going to finish. So continuing going through here. Next up is basically doing basic cascading with a heart cross. So hopefully you've read my other article, which is my cascading combo guide, as some of the topics I explored and presented there will pop up here, such as when I do line cascades. So in essence, a cascade is essentially a match that occurs. You match your combos, and then orbs fall into place to trigger additional combos. So these are planned matches. They're not luck or random based like Skyfalls. Cascadings are things you plan out, and they allow you to do additional damage because you increase your chance for Skyfalls to occur, because things are staggered, falling down to staggered formations, so on and so forth. So with a heart cross, you can make line cascades. So if you look at this example here, the heart cross here will disappear, and this horizontal line will obviously be removed, and then we'll drop the water orb here and the light orb here down into place. So these light orbs will match, these water orbs will match. It's another way to utilize space that normally you wouldn't have before, because kind of those orbs in the top are sometimes dead space. Conversely, this pattern here that you saw beforehand, it actually will cause a line cascade. The heart orbs will disappear, and the fire orbs will drop down. It allows you to get space out of areas you could not have. Yes, I could have used this and matched 3 fire orbs at the top and make a heart cross, but if you do a cascade in this situation here, you increase your chances of additional Skyfalls slightly. Why not increase your chances? Like, why not? So I'm going to transition back into video format to show you line cascade. So I am just going to try and figure out a spot for a line cascade. you don't have to use them all the time. It's just good to be aware of it. So I'm going to make waters cascade in that area here. So you see here, those orbs are going to match, and the water orbs are going to connect. They will form a two-prong. Obviously, if another water orb fell down, it won't be a two-prong. But that's a way to kind of get some space out of your heart cross if it's not convenient to match normally. So it's good to keep in mind how it works. Next up is what I call elevators, and it's basically an elevator heart cross. So when this heart cross is matched here, this light orb at the top will fall down and connect here. This may not always be the most practical solution, but it's worth at least, it's worth being aware of how it works. Like, you're not going to be using it very often, but it's good to realize that it's available. So in this case here, I'm going to make kind of a fire elevator down here. So I'm going to go like this. Oops. It's not always practical. There. So when the heart cross disappears, those fires are going to fall down. So it's just good to see that in practice. Like, you may not use it all the time, but at least you are aware that it exists. So, solving problematic boards. Now, with heart crosses, it is very possible that you're going to have tricky boards because it's a less intuitive pattern, because if you're used to matching like 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, so on and so forth, things are clean and tidy. But with a heart cross, they're not always so clean and tidy. So, sometimes you will get stuck in a corner, because like you'll have heart orbs such as this pattern here, and you only have 5. So you have to use all of these orbs here, but you may sometimes struggle because you're trying to match and you'd be stuck like, oh, why are these heart orbs stuck on the side? I'm stuck in the corner. I can't get out of here. So I'm going to just showcase how you can get out of these problematic corner situations where you get stuck. So from this board here, I'm going to start with this heart orb, and I'm actually going to move up to this point here, and I'm going to prepare to match right to left and then up. So I'll make this line here, and then I'm going to come back to the middle up here, and then start going down. So I have gone down, so I have heart, heart, and heart, and then I'm going to move to the right. And then from the right there, I'll have kind of like this L shape here, and I simply just brought up the heart orb at the bottom here, and then I finish with my heart cross here. So yes, you always have to make sure you match other combos, but I just want to showcase how you can get out of sticky situations in the corner. So in this case here, I am going to replicate this kind of corner situation like that. So I'm in the corner like that. Normally you may get stuck when you're trying to match combos. So you want to start with your heart orb that is the furthest away. So this heart orb actually is furthest away. I can actually match a row of light and some wood and water orbs at the bottom. So I'm going to do that because I might as well, because matching a heart cross is fine and dandy, but you still need to worry about matching offensive orbs. Ugh, there we go. So matched my heart cross. I got it out of that corner while matching combos at the bottom. So like, again, I pick the heart orb at the very bottom, and I pick the heart orb as the very furthest away, and then I bring it up carefully while matching along the way. But I follow that same pattern for getting out of a corner. So I'm going to showcase that again one more time. Just trying to get more heart orbs. I want to get 5. Whoops. I should probably match more combos when I'm trying to get some heart orbs. So I am going to match that. So there. I'm going to stick myself in a different corner now just to showcase how that works. So let's see. So whoops. Okay, so imagine those other heart orbs don't exist. So I'm kind of in a corner. Actually, there's 2 awkward corners to get through. So in this case here, you follow sort of a similar pattern. So I'm going to try and get the bottom here. So I'm just going to try and get the heart cross. So I'm going to go through here, up, there. You don't have to use diagonals. You can use other things. But there, I got out of the corner. I'm just going to break up my combos again, just so I can showcase other heart cross formations. So I want to try and make a heart cross at the top here. So I'm going to start with this orb here, because I'm assuming this is the problematic one. I'm going to match up. See, I make this horizontal line here. And then I come down, around, and match. So I got out of the corner. Make sense? Hopefully that does. Oops, transitioning back over to, transitioning over, there we go. And if your orbs are scattered, yes, it can be problematic, but like I said, I always try and pick the heart orb that is in the furthest away from where your cross formation is going to occur. So you want to obviously plan it out. So like you want to pick the hard orb that is the furthest away. So when you're playing of a heart cross leader, it's a different kind of strategy because you have to try and manage your hard orbs as well as your offensive colors, depending on the team, whether you're like Ronove and you rely on rainbows, or your Miru, Kaede, so on and so forth, and your monocolor. You have to kind of just plan and micromanage your orbs properly. So for myself here, I'm playing a monocolor team, and I want Rose. I like to pool my light orbs at the bottom like this. That way, I also try and put a hard orb down here as well, because I want to start with the hard orb to make my matching easier. Because when I have a line of yellow, that's how I get my damage. So I will form the line of yellow at the very bottom, and then my heart cross is going to go in the top left-hand corner. So in this case here, I went from this to that. Yes, I started the hard orb, but again, let's say I was unable to match my 5 hard orbs together nicely. I can finish off with my starting hard orb. That's why I usually like to start with a hard orb in most scenarios. So I'm going to transition back into my video format here. So I'm just going to pretend I'm playing a dungeon and I'm trying to stall and set up my board. So I'm going to put my light orbs at the bottom here in such a pattern like this. So I retained all my hard orbs. I matched things that are not important. So that means I can start with this hard orb here, match my row at the bottom by doing simple movements like that, and then I can heart cross from here. And I got out of the corner, and I finished. So that is a way to kind of set up your board. Like you move your primary damaging colors to the bottom. You try not to match hard orbs as well at the same time. And then you set up your board, and you can match like that. And finally, stalling strategies. So when you're playing a heart cross leader, your defensive mechanics are heavily tied to being able to form your heart cross. Because if you don't form your heart cross, you don't have those bonus defensive and damage mitigation capabilities. However, sometimes it's problematic to get 5 hard orbs every single turn. Because in theory, with 6 different elements, you match 6 combos, you will only receive 3 more down. So you match 18 orbs, you'll get 3 of each kind in theory. Of course, RNG takes effect, but the point being is, even if you match 8 combos consistently, you may not necessarily get enough hard orbs every single turn. So when stalling, what I like to do is, I like to say turn 1, I match my heart cross and none of my offensive orbs. So if I'm playing Kaede, I would match my heart cross and no wood combos whatsoever. That way I can tank the hit, and I don't run the risk of dealing damage to the boss. On turn 2, you do not form your heart cross, and you don't match any heart combos, but you try and use all of your offensive orbs at the same time. So I'll use my Kaede example. They scale off of multiple wood combos, so what you should do is match one giant clump of wood, and then all the other orbs possible that's not hearts. You don't have to worry about combo count at that point, because all you're trying to do is get enough heart orbs to fall down to stall again. So say you had like 8 wood orbs, match them all as a clump of 8, not as a row, like just some weird blob. And then you match all your, and don't match hearts in your other combos. Hopefully enough heart orbs fall down, and then on your 3rd turn, you do your heart cross again without wood. And then you just repeat. Just repeat this cycle over and over again until you've stalled long enough. That is how you can effectively stall a heart cross leader, and you should have enough heart orbs to do a heart cross every other turn. So transitioning back into video format, let's say I'm on turn 2 where I'm just trying to match with all my offensive color orbs. So I'm going to match all of my offensive color orbs here. So I'm going to match all of my light and none of my hearts in ideal world. So I didn't match any of my hearts, I matched all of my light. And now I can make a heart cross here. So one thing I didn't explain is that if you do damage and you're carried forward and there's no preemptive, you still have the multiplier. So that was kind of a weird example, but the point being is you saw how I matched all my offensive orbs and I did not match a heart cross. So I'm going to match a heart cross in this turn because this is where pretending it's going to hit me hard. So I would match a heart cross and no other, no light orbs, I should say. I can match other things, just not light. So I do that. I didn't set up, I guess the light orbs I made in such a way it's in Skyfall, but you kind of see the point. If you try and match your heart cross when stalling in non-offensive colors, it's obviously not going to deal damage. And then when you're trying to get rid of the offensive orbs, it lowers the chances of having an offensive orb present, so you lower the risk of accidentally triggering additional combos. So transitioning back into the written format. So last things last is optimal boards, and optimal boards is basically a term that is given to boards that are the result of a bicolor board changer. So you produce two elements. So you can do a tricolor and then plus one other to make it a bicolor, or do something like a blue Sonya. The point being is you end up with two elements, and from those two elements you can match very specific patterns, and provided you've memorized those patterns, you can recreate them because it will give you the optimal amount of damage because you maximize the amount of rows or two prongs, your heart cross obviously, as well as combo count. So you end up dealing the maximum damage possible from that given board. And it's just a matter of memorizing it. So if you're playing heart cross leaders, these can be used because you can produce boards of hearts and boards of your offensive color. So in the case of Mirror here, I have a board of heart orbs and a board of enhanced light. So from this starting position, I would start with this heart orb here. I'd move down and create a 3-line at the bottom. I'd come around and make this kind of funky L shape, and then I make my heart cross on the side. So when it does get matched, I match the row at the top and the various heart combos here and here, as well as a light here. But then these light orbs are actually going to fall down and cascade into place. So I actually used up every single light orb possible, made the most number of combos, and it was a way to fully optimize the board. So it's just a matter of memorizing these patterns, which I have done. So that's what is key. You can obviously look them up while playing. You have 3 minutes to match in co-op, unlimited time in solo, but I would still recommend you do this on your own time in endless corridors. So if I transition back here, I made an optimal board with 2 elements. So I have 7 hearts, so make sure you count them, and then a bunch of enhanced light, so that would be 23 enhanced light. So I need to match a board, and I'm going to match my heart cross in this region here. So I am going to do that. So from this pattern here, I only get actually an extra combo, but it's one more combo I wouldn't have had beforehand, because when the heart cross matches and disappears, I'll get an extra light combo on the right-hand side at the bottom there. So I actually got an extra heart skyfall, and one more heart fell into place, but the staggering of the cascade does help encourage those skyfall matches, as well as giving you possibly extra combos. So, in conclusion, heart cross leaders are very powerful, they're very strong because of the offensive and defensive capabilities they bring. Yes, they may be a bit more troublesome to match because the heart cross may be a bit foreign or alien, but with enough practice they become second nature, and they are fun to play because it is a new type of matching. So hopefully this guide is informative, and let me know what you want to see next, or what you like to change from these types of combo guides. So let me know in the comments below. Have a mantastic day, and happy puzzling!